Aloha, this is Hope Johnson with Wisdom Dialogues. Thank you so much for joining, for watching. Um, it's after Christmas, sometime after Christmas. Um, Beautiful to be here with you. If you'd like to find out about when these sessions occur and would like to join, just join my Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Wisdom Dialogues. So if anybody has any questions, if you'd like to pose any questions, please go ahead and type them in or else raise your hand and we will have dialogue. I have some questions written down here which I'll start with. But if anyone has something different they would like to ask or they'd like more dialogue on whatever the question was that I was taking, please let me know. I love that. Thank you. So the first question I have written down here is, what happens when people die? Well, to address that question, let's see what people are in the first place. When we make a connection with someone, it's common to believe that we made a connection with another person. But that's not actually what's going on. It's sort of like, one way to say it would be two souls communicating. Let's say like that. But there's not really two. It's one aspect of the soul communicating with another aspect of the soul. It's like these creations that I'm referring to as soul right now are unique. They're all unique, but they're totally inseparable. There's no separation between them. So when a person dies, which the person itself is an illusion, so the dying is also an illusion, just like the birth. When that apparently happens on the surface, nothing is changed. Nothing is actually changed. There's no change. Everything that changes is an illusion. It's only appearing to change on the surface. So we'd never lose anyone. What appears to be lost when we appear to lose someone, that has to do with beliefs that have been built up about that person. And then that makes it seem like something is lost. And you know, those beliefs, those opportunities are arising in every moment. Just when a little thought arises, say we're talking about a spouse, okay? And say this is before the experience of any death experience or anything like that. And a thought arises that says, oh, what if he dies, he or she? What if they die? And there might be like a feeling of fear, or there might be even a running to thoughts, which is one thing that I've experienced, is a running to thoughts to see how everything would still be okay if that happened, when that happens, whatever. And that right there is the opportunity. There's the opportunity, because when that thought arises, it's reflecting a belief, number one, that there's dependency, whether emotional or otherwise. Now, when it feels like there's a loss, it's like there's an emotional dependency on it, which is made of belief. Okay? So before the loss experience, it's like looking at these thoughts that arise, noticing them when they arise, that say that something would be wrong with that experience. It's kind of like the same thing as saying that something would be wrong with birth, you know. It's basically the same kind of appearance. It's an appearance of a life and then an appearance of the end of a life. But there's been no end. It's all a play. It's all a play of consciousness. So what happens when people die? Nothing. Hooray. Moving on to the next question. I've heard the spiritual speak about how I only did the best I could, so I should forgive myself. And I believe that I should, but how? That's a big one. It's like there's guilt around the idea that we can forgive ourselves. See? It comes back to there's nothing that we can do or have to do. Okay? There's only a choice being made in every moment. And that choice is being made no matter what. There's no choice in whether the choice is being made. Let's say it that way. Okay? So it's in that moment that something arises like, I have to forgive myself. Noticing that is only a comment arising out of nowhere. Okay? It could take attention, and then if it's given attention, oh, the thought arises, I have to forgive myself. If attention is given to that thought, I have to forgive myself, that's how that thought survives. Okay? And every thought that arises in consciousness, every thought that arises before our senses is just looking for energy. It's all energy looking for energy. We are that life force energy. Or another way to say it is we are the directors of that life force energy. We don't even have to do anything for that. But every moment a thought arises, it's looking for that life force energy. That's how it survives. That's how it gets energy. Its energy is not self-perpetuating. So when that thought arises that says, I have to forgive myself, that's a belief being reflected as a comment. Number one, it's a belief that there's someone to forgive themselves. There's belief that something has been done. There's belief that big one, I'm an individual who could have done anything on my own accord. That's a belief. This is all consciousness playing everything out. Consciousness playing everything out. Kind of like at our command. Kind of like that. Because whenever a thought arises, that's saying, which direction do you want to go? I have to forgive myself? Is that a direction to go in? If that's a direction to go in, then that's where the mind takes you. Or it could just be acknowledging that and thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's sweet. That's consciousness. Noticing that that's just consciousness saying that. Okay? Based on beliefs. When I talk about beliefs, here's another big thing. When I talk about beliefs, the beliefs that are held in the subconscious mind do not belong to anyone. Okay? They don't belong to anyone. When the beliefs that are held in the subconscious mind manifest, it's consciousness doing it. It's not an individual. It's the beliefs being played out. Our function, if you want to put it that way, is much closer. It's much closer than that. It's like these beliefs arise and they're being, number one, manifesting as a thought. Number two, manifesting as outer appearances. So when the thought manifests, are we taking ourselves to be something that is told what to do by thoughts? Because if we are, then it's as if we're in the universe. It's like we have this perception that we're in the universe, and we're not. It's not like that at all. It's totally the other way around. The universe is in us. Okay? And we have all power of direction. We have no power over what's manifesting in the present moment. That is the past being played out. And that includes a thought, an action, every single perception. It's past being played out. Okay? What's presently here, what presently has power is us. We're not in the mind, though. So that thought and that perception arises in the moment, and maybe it says something like, oh my goodness, I need to forgive myself. And as soon as that thought is believed, all of a sudden, we're in the universe. We think ourselves to be in the universe. We're not really in the universe, of course. But we think ourselves to be in the universe. And then we have this big problem because now there's a self that's not forgiven and a self that needs to forgive itself. Maybe that's taken to be the same self. I don't know. But that's all just a bunch of thought. Okay? Forgiveness isn't like that. Forgiveness is something that happens all on its own accord from seeing that nothing's been done. And to see that nothing's ever been done, nothing's ever occurred, there has to be a willingness to see the thoughts for what they are, to see that they're only something offered. It's being offered by consciousness based on all the impressions that led up to this moment, based on all of the impressions. Oh, I'm going to make my mark in this world. Okay, that goes as an impression in the mind. And now you're an individual. So now you got a bunch of shit to do. Okay? Now you got a bunch of stuff on your plate. Lots of manifestations. Which isn't true. The manifestations are arising. The manifestations are arising all on their own accord. And guess what? Out of impressions. Impressions are being launched every moment according to how we see what's arising, how we're taking our perception. What if the perception arises that says, wow, this person is so important to me. This person is so important to me. When that impression goes into the mind like that, it also attracts a fear of them dying. So it's like, yes, a perception of death has to happen because it's just built in. It's built in this believing thoughts. I have to forgive myself. This is self-importance. Okay? The self is seen as important. In the instance, the self is seen as important. It's seen as something in the universe, or someone in the universe, whatever. Someone in the universe, amongst all these other ones in the universe. Okay? So there's obviously fear of death, and it's almost like this is kind of like built up. Okay? It's built up, and yet it could be seen through in an instant. Okay? It's almost like let's say it's a dense cloud, right? It's a really dense cloud, something like that. Well, it's kind of like the wind blows a certain way and it passes and there's the sun, like that. It's just that for the most part, through the ego's game, people have come to the knowledge that they're real as people. Yeah? That they're actual, like that person is actual. That's all. It's false knowledge. It's what It's what they would call biblically wisdom of this world. There's one that my mom would say to me all the time. It's so funny because she used the context that I remember her using it in was you don't have to go to school because wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. Like there's nothing to even learn about it. She used to say that to me all the time, and it was always about school. I don't know if she really was feeling the depth of what she was saying to me all those times, but yeah, it's like this wisdom that I am an individual, I am important. There's something for me to do. There's something I've got to learn. That's wisdom of the world, and you can see how it's foolish um, when but only after there's willingness to set aside the wisdom of the world. It's so funny. It's only you're only going to get to see the foolishness through willingness to give up what we think we know. That's all. Otherwise you look like pretty serious, like you got to forgive something. As long as you're an individual in the world and you've got stuff you haven't forgiven, well, yeah, you got some deep work to do. Like that. That's some good stuff. So yeah, this is what keeps the ego going around and around. It's just having anything that you have to do. In fact, in my own experience, let me give example because I know people are kind of like, what do you mean? How can that even work? Okay, here's an example. Like in my own experience, I have to do my taxes. That thought arises. I have to do my taxes. There's a certain feeling that comes with every thought. There's a certain feeling vibration. So when that thought arises, I just allow it to be felt in my body. But the way that it's looked upon is not as if it's speaking to me. It's not speaking to me. It's just speaking. That's just consciousness. And who's going to do my taxes too is consciousness. It'd be consciousness that does my taxes, whether it's through this vessel that appears as Hope Johnson or another vessel. It's going to be consciousness that does my taxes. And you know what? Or not. There's the thing. So there's no attachment to getting the taxes done either. Lori's got her hand up. How fun. Aloha, Lori. Let me get your mic on here. Unmute Lori's mic.
Again,
Aloha.
aloha.
Yay, there you are.
Okay.
Hooray.
When you say the universe is in us,
Okay.
so many spiritual teachers say this, and that's not possible to understand with the mind, right?
That's right. That's right. And
Because,
so nothing that I'm saying requires any homework.
yeah.
Because what's being shared here is energy, and always, it's always energy. It's like there's this wisdom that arises from within. Okay, and
Mm,
and it shows the way. It's almost like it shows the way. As long as there's this willingness to look toward that
mm-hmm,
and not toward thought. Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It shows itself. It reveals itself.
It,
In the world of duality, it's like an energy that's at a higher frequency. You see
it's
what
so
I'm
that's
saying?
why it goes by us a lot.
That's it. That's it. So
Mm,
it's like what's being shared through these words, of which I'd like to say again, because I got some new people on here. Nothing that I say is true.
right,
Okay.
right.
Through these words, what's being conveyed overall is just a frequency.
Okay.
The,
Yeah,
the,
because,
the, the words, you just let them land. You just let them
right.
land, and And yeah, it's not something that you need to know that the universe is within you with the mind. It's
Mm,
not necessary to know it like that. You know,
mm.
that then that would just be worldly wisdom. Well, here's why the world's within us. Let me give you a mathematic equation, and they have those now. So you could
Oh, really?
you could get a mathematic equation on that if you like, but that's
I
not the
don't like.
same as knowing. That's
Okay.
not the same as really knowing, you know, and that's
Right.
a, and that's you know, there's also some, you know, I could point to some biblical stuff on that. I don't know, I know there's some people who listen to this who are interested in that aspect of it, and I don't know any of the exact words because it wasn't repeated so much as that one, wisdom of this world is foolishness with
Mm,
God, but it talked about something about being blessed, and you believe when you have not seen. You know,
mm,
it's like a different kind of believing. You believe because you're like trusting your intuition. You can feel this frequency, and you're moving toward it. You
mm.
know, it's a different
Yeah.
kind of belief than I believe because of facts.
Right.
And you
Okay.
know, that's really the same kind of belief that all the Christians are going toward too. They're going toward facts. They're even like, well, I have the facts to prove that Jesus is real.
Mm,
What they're
mm.
telling them, and they got it written down these certain ways. But that's not it at all. There's not a it's not a belief like that. It's like it's more like a trust or a faith because you can sense this this sweetness in it, and it's
Yeah.
your
Well,
and it
it resonates. It
yes,
resonates in
yes, resonate.
because like you and Lisa Carnes and certain and um, Roger Castillo. There's certain people that I listen to, and they all have the Tig Monk. Tig has the same message, and it's all so. After it's been a good 4 years of like really immersing myself in videos and talking with Lisa.
Yeah,
I've been talking, and I went with her retreat on in
yeah,
Spain, and
uh-huh,
it 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 seems like I grew up with a bunch of concepts. These concepts were replaced by the concepts that they were saying, and she's always saying, they always say, it's not the truth. You don't need to listen to the words. This is an energy exchange. It's not through words. So, and
uh-huh,
obviously that has happened because I totally am living life with different, I realize that nothing is wrong. Everything is, um, nobody's doing anything wrong.
yeah,
It's just being done. And
yeah,
this has made for judgment to basically be dropped off.
uh-huh.
And it's a different way of living. But when uh, the words are said about the universe being in me, I
You cringe.
well,
You're like, "Ew." Is
it's
that
like
what
I feel like I've gotten something because life has really changed here. I don't feel as caged like I
it is?
was.
Sure.
I'm definitely more myself. I walk my talk. I'm very comfortable in my skin for the first time in 52 years.
Nice,
I
nice.
since I was a kid anyway.
Yep.
And and um, a lot of experiences have happened to support all of this to make it my truth,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but when I hear stuff like that, I think, Jesus, I still don't have it. I still don't get it because that universe in me thing
Yeah.
doesn't resonate at all.
Okay, cool. Cool. How about it's sort of like your every time you breathe out the whole universe being made manifest. How does that feel?
When I breathe out,
Yeah. Like
the
with every breath the whole universe is being made manifest for you. How do you like that
for
one?
me. Okay,
Yeah.
so the mind is trying to, like, I'm seeing that it wants to control that
Okay, cool.
because I
Well
know
that
that there's no
that's awesome.
control.
Yeah.
there is no control, but I can see where it wants to say, oh, well, if I can breathe out, if I can breathe out, manifest the universe, holy crap, what else can I do?
Yeah, well, kind of like exactly, what I'm pointing to is this power that's so beyond the person.
Yeah,
And it's so in this moment that it's like that little ego I wants to overtake it
yeah,
and start
yes,
manifesting what it wants in the world.
yes.
But it's like you through just basic spiritual maturity that you don't know what you want in the world.
No, true. That's very true.
So, so with that understanding that there's nothing to control in the world,
Right.
it's like all this power is available for love to be there.
Mm,
All that's and it's like this instant was where all the power is. Where the power is thought to be is actually in a past thing called a person or an individual. I'll even say individual. There's
okay.
no individuality like
Yeah,
that.
right.
Okay, the individuality is on the screen of consciousness. The individuality, there's uniqueness. There is uniqueness. So that's deeper than the surface, though.
Mm,
It's nothing that you can describe. The uniqueness isn't anything that can be described. You see?
yeah,
You see how when you look into each person's eyes, there's a uniqueness there that you can't even describe.
right. Right.
Yeah, you see that? So there's a uniqueness playing out, but there's no individuality.
Okay. Right.
There's no individuals running their own show. Let's put it that way. There's individuals thinking they're running their own show, and
Right.
then that's what makes this illusion. Okay, there's like and it's like the darkness and the light sort of come for everyone. Like it's like there's moments where you're like a thought will arise and maybe it won't be seen from that perspective, and there could be that feeling of an individual running the show. It's all just a feeling, actually. Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
so it's like throughout the day, like in my experience, I'll feel that feeling as if I'm an individual,
Right.
and then let that feeling let to be felt. And that's really making the choice for like God over mammon, as what Jesus would say.
Okay. So when that comes lately, there comes thoughts of I've lost it. I, I'm
Great,
back to being the person again
great.
because coming back from the retreat, there was oh
That's so fun.
yeah. So I see thoughts coming, and
Yeah.
there's trying to control them. It's like,
Yes.
no, you're not true. That's not true.
Yeah. See the fighting that happens. The
Yes. Oh
fighting that
my,
goes on. Yeah.
yeah,
So there's no. So that's just. It's actually resistance to feeling. All of it's a feeling. It's a
yeah.
sensation. The
Yes, I understand.
sensation that I'm not there yet. It's all
Right,
just a
right.
sensation.
Yeah.
And geez, it's like, okay, who's aware of feeling sensation? That's always there and always the same.
Mhm.
The fighting is just resistance to it. And the,
Yeah.
the funny thing is that there's nothing to resist. You just let that feeling be felt. It is all feeling, all thought manifests as feeling. So when there's an experience of a thought, there's an experience of a feeling. And you know what else? Here's another funny thing. There's also an experience of a particular breath pattern. Isn't that interesting?
What do you mean?
Yeah. And heartbeat, and probably a bunch of shit we don't know about.
Okay, so how did you come up with this one?
What do you mean come up with it?
Like you just started noticing different heartbeats with
Yes.
different thought patterns, or
It's just observation.
huh?
Yeah, the whole, see, what I said before, the body is actually a physical manifestation of the subconscious mind. And the
Right.
subconscious mind is constantly projecting the whole world, including ourselves and our actions and our words and everything.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So everything that is being perceived, all that I just described, that's just perception. Everything that's being perceived can also be perceived as a like feeling in the body.
Okay.
Okay.
Who's it being perceived by?
Well, there's also a perceiver. There's a make believe perceiver there.
Make believe.
There's a make believe perceiver. Thank you, Ron. So, so there's a perceiver that can feel this stuff, but what is witnessing it? See, what's aware of it? There's a there's a sense organ sensing the whole world, and then what's aware of that? See, there's a
Okay.
perceiver in the there's a
But
perceiver and perceive. There's a perceiver and perceive in the awareness that can't be described as something. Doesn't really have a name.
and that is what we are.
Yeah.
Is the
From a
thing that
unique point of view. Coming from a unique point of view. That's all.
that's
Like
all.
a unique, yeah, it's a unique aspect of all. One way I've heard it put, and I really liked, and I'm gonna make my own version of it, is sort of like there's little eyeballs looking through all these different holes on the whole sort of like holographic stage,
Hmm.
and behind that eyeball is just nothing, or the same one, maybe a way to put it. It's all one. It's all the same. It's all that same nothingness or void or space. The space that we see, the space that we can perceive in the outer world is kind of like a reflection of that.
Mm.
It's not really empty, it's full, but it's empty. It's full of potential.
All right. That doesn't fly.
Nice. Well,
Nice.
sometimes that happens. I mean, and the thing is, it doesn't really matter because it's like when it's being spoken to basically us, which is
Right.
one, me.
Right.
Okay, one way to look at it. So even if
I
it's not resonating
right.
with one with like your point of view, okay, let's say
Right.
that
Right.
it's not resonating with your point of view, it resonates here.
Okay. So
Maybe
why doesn't it
resonating a
resonate
lot
here?
of other, and maybe resonating with a lot of other points of view too, from a lot of other points of view too, and that in itself makes it more possible. Makes it
Uh,
more possible because
correct.
it's like the more those eyeballs, as I put it,
Yeah.
are seeing in
Seeing it.
truth,
Yep.
the more it uplifts because it's all one vibrational frequency forum
Ah.
kind of thing.
Okay, I got that one.
See that?
Yeah, I
Okay.
do. Because it's so kind of like the hundredth monkey syndrome or whatever the hell that is.
It makes it
It's
easier. It makes it easier. You
right.
still have that's the free will though. You are allowed to stay in not seeing.
Okay, so I'm not in charge. I'm not in control of whether I see it or not. So I'm not allowed to stay in not seeing because I'm not doing it.
Okay. There's also, okay, let's put it this way. There's also a faith that's before seeing. A faith that's before seeing. So let's go back. We had a beautiful conversation last week. I loved it. And let's go back to the thing where there were some mismatched socks on the outside of your niece's
My
boot,
granddaughter's
your
leg, foot, pant
granddaughter's
leg.
boot pant leg. Okay, that's where it is right there. That's choice point. So you see there's an energy arising right there
Yes. To
where
not
there
allow her.
Right,
to
to
do that.
control this
Right,
movement.
right.
Control this movement. So there's going with this rational thought that says why you should be doing this and all this stuff like that. And let me
Mm-hmm.
tell you, it doesn't matter what the manifestation is. It doesn't matter if you tell her, you know what? No, you got to go change your socks. Whatever. It does
Yeah.
not matter.
Okay.
It's when the discomfort comes out of
The seeing of the
not,
socks on the outside of the pants.
yeah, well, basically not seeing the truth instead of, well, not seeing the truth because there's a choice being made to follow an unconscious pattern.
Yeah.
And normally that choice is very unconscious, so we don't know we make it. We know we want to make when we make a choice for truth, though, because we can feel it right then. It's instant.
When we make a choice for truth, like what?
Okay, so for instance, with the socks on the
Yeah.
outside of the pants,
Yeah.
when the discomfort arises
Yeah.
in that moment, not in any past, not looking at any past, not looking at any future,
Yeah.
in the moment that it arises,
Yeah.
there is a choice and opportunity to experience it as sensation.
Oh, and
There is
not
that.
react.
Yeah, not as a real event, not as a real event.
Uh,
This is
as
what Jesus says about you can't ride two horses. Or no, one man, yeah, you can't, that is it. One man can't ride two horses. You can put woman in there, it doesn't matter. Sex is
yeah.
not real.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah. Right.
cannot ride two horses. So it's like one's going towards thought and one's going towards truth. It's like there's a choice on which one to get on in an instant.
Okay.
And
So, what would be the truth there? Because obviously, I didn't go with it.
it's not describable. It's not describable. It's you can feel when that choice has really been made. It's as like a palpable feeling when there's a trigger that's up and they're seeing that the situation itself isn't there's no reality to it. And then there's no discomfort in it.
Hmm. There was, okay, so there was definitely discomfort in wanting to control. And then there's a seeing of that I was trying to control her. And I was, ugh, it was beating me up for not letting this go.
Yes, yes, exactly. So that's where the choice to ride the other horse was made. That's all. So when you see that you have that power, and the more it's consciously used, the more powerful it becomes.
To try to control her, you mean?
To not try to control anything. To not try to control anything. That power is just the power of love. It's letting everything be okay. And you're not trying to do anything on the surface.
Right,
It's not
no matter what.
and no matter what.
Letting it be. Right.
It doesn't matter what you did, Lori.
Mm,
That's of no relevance.
mm,
That's of no relevance. I mean, there's nothing to compare with how anybody else does their
right,
grandparenting or anything.
right.
Yeah, it's not like that at all. It
Mm,
will your behavior change? Who knows? Who
mm,
knows? It may or may not. It's not that. It's not about that. It's about that allowing of what is to be what is. That's all.
right, right.
And that's an internal feeling thing. It's a whole feeling thing. It's
Mm.
not a thinking thing.
So
It's
it's
not.
basically going with the flow, no matter what is happening. Sensations, thoughts, no matter what. It's just feeling them in the moment and
Yes.
not reacting.
Yeah, it's a simple and the not reacting thing is also a little bit of self-importance. Okay?
Mm.
That's not something you have any power over,
Control
nor do
over.
you want
Right.
power over that. You don't even want that. Because if you're able to control it, then consciousness is not able to reflect your mind for you.
Oh,
It's like
wow.
you absolutely want to react if there's a reaction coming.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of control. It's not like, oh, don't react. You
Yeah,
know,
right.
although I've had that experience of having that kind of experience, so I know what you're talking about. And it's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. It's one word is surrender. One word might be opening, like opening inside, opening within. I've described it before as sort of like love making because there's a penetration that's going on, and there's this energetic penetration to the cells, you know, and you could see that the like the love making in real life or life that we made out of thought, you know, is sort of like a symbol. It's a symbol of it. But this is much deeper, and the funny thing is, it's like this kind of love making, as you will. It's almost like I've heard it a few times being put making love to Jesus, just because I hear it from a lot of Christian perspectives.
Mm.
And it is sort of like something like that because there is this deep penetration of energy on a cellular kind of level that produces all these sensations that are beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's fun.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's all fun. It really is, and it's kind of like hide and seek. You know,
Yeah,
it's like
why? Why? Why does it have to play hide and seek?
well, it's not it. It's like it's our own choices playing out. It's our own choices playing out. Okay? Now here's what I mean. In every instant, there's a perception and there's a comment that arises that's either taken as truth or not.
Right. Okay. Yes.
Okay? So
Yeah.
it's always it's 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 so for us. It's so like, oh, that's how you want to see it. Okay, here you go. It's like it's almost like this consciousness sometimes strikes me as this big loving guy that just wants to please me. But
Ah.
but that's according to what I say. Like if I say to this I have to um, forgive myself. Since we're still on that question, I haven't
Right.
moved on from that one.
Right.
I have to forgive myself. Consciousness like it's looked at like wow, okay, it's seek but do not find here, guys. I have to forgive myself means I'm going to be seeking to forgive myself.
Right. Right. Right.
No, it's not.
Right.
For one, it's not possible like that. It's not like that.
Right.
Forgiveness is awesome. It's absolute. It arises and can present itself in the moment and absolutely wipe out suffering. The perception of suffering because it's actually not there.
Oh, God. Mm.
All right. And I have another hand up. So do you have anything else?
No, that's it. Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Oh, that
you.
hand went down too, so that's fun. I I could go on to the next question over here anyways, or if you have more you'd like to talk about.
No, I think I've taken up a lot of your time. You like I
Well,
usually do.
that's not true. And you can raise your hand again if you want to come back on.
Okay.
I
Okay.
love you.
I love
Aloha.
you too. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, that was a fun one on forgiving myself. How fun is that? Oh my goodness. Just to see that cute little thought come up and just really have some compassion for that, you know? When that thought arises and that feeling comes up, just, man, the compassion that's available for that. It's beautiful. Okay. Um, why do people in my life seem to be unproductive? it seems like I'm responsible for doing everything. Yeah, yep, I'm familiar with that one. Totally, totally. I'm unproductive, they're unproductive. Why? Why didn't they do what they said they were going to do? Now I got to do everything. So that's why it's like it's these subconscious impressions again and again. It's like getting hooked into this thing that people aren't doing good enough. Somehow people aren't doing good. And you know what the funniest thing is? What it's reflecting in that moment is a belief that I'm not enough, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not doing enough. It doesn't matter what the words are, we could feel it. We could feel that right there. So it's projected out as some kind of um, in insufficiency, let's say, of one of our brothers or sisters. Insufficiency. They're not good enough. That's why we feel like this. Ugh, why? Why did you do that? I'm making this motion because somebody actually said that to me this week, so it was awesome. They weren't asking me why I did something. They were just reliving an experience with someone earlier that day where they were going, why? Stuck with me. It's like that is why right there. That energy is why. That is it. Cause and effect is at play here. It's totally at play. Why? That sensation is drawing more experiences of like sensation if it's not embraced. If it's not embraced. So that's the choice to make. Is it going to be embraced? Or is it this time I'm going to do what I did all those other times and keep on thinking that that person isn't doing good enough over there? Which is really a belief that I'm not doing good enough right here, and that's why it feels like shit. So that feeling is just to be embraced. That's it. The more that it's taken like that, as if people are actually unproductive, as if people are actually not as good as me, for say, not as productive as I can be. If that's taken as true over and over again, then it's going to seem like you're responsible for doing more and more things. That's just what happens. We end up just having so much to do. Or the other thing is feeling like we can't do anything when there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. So productivity is a game. That's a game. There's no such thing. Consciousness is one thing at work. One thing playing out. There's no one to be productive or unproductive. You're gonna point productive in the right direction. The word productive in in at least the direction of truth. It's like, is it productive right now to believe that this thought is talking to me right now? Is actually saying something to me? Is that productive? To believe that I'm this little thing in the universe right now, and that this thought is talking to me. Really? Okay, that's it. And that as that choice is made, and it's actually seen, I'm really not responsible for doing everything. or anything. Just noticing that the thought thinks it's talking to is not you. The thought doesn't know who you are. Doesn't know you. That's all. You know you, even if you don't think so. I mean, look, there's that's you. That's having an experience of thought. Put it that way. Witnessing a perceiver having an experience with a thought. It's like you can't even be described. You keep on going back further. everything else is basically dead. You're the only live one. Let's put it that way. Okay. Um, why do people? Oh, I did that one. Why does it seem like some people hate me? That's awesome. That's awesome. And you know that's a great one for burning through illusion. That's why it's like if it seems like someone hates me, I'm like, thank you. That is a beautiful reflection. Beautiful. Someone hates me. You know why? Because there's a sensation that arises with that. There's a sensation that arises with that. And when felt, when allowed to be felt, it becomes perfectly clear what's doing the hating here. But, like I don't even really feel to tell you how that is because it's like everyone has that experience that for themselves. So it's not really something to say about that. But when there's something intense like that, like a person hating me, that's what produces an emotional charge that's intense. And I see that being denied a lot, that it produces an emotional charge that is an intense emotional charge and maybe even covered over with other thoughts that kind of lessen the charge of it. When that kind of charge arises for me, I love it. Letting it come and basically show. It's almost like it's showing. I guess through the veil, through the illusion. It allows the seeing of cause and effect, the true cause and effect, the underlying cause that you can't get to in thought. But it's almost like it's a revelation. It's just presented. It's like and it's like all at once, just like almost like a flash. So, and then they can't even be perceived as hating me. It can't even be perceived that way. That perception not is not there. There's not a perception like that at all. So if anyone has any questions on that, let me know. Okay, why do I feel intensely triggered when people feel righteous about their beliefs? Yes, I love this one. I love this one. This is one that arises. It's a good one, and it is reflecting feeling righteous about whatever it is that's believed. That's all it's reflecting. It's reflecting that feeling. So it's like that feeling arises at that time. That feeling arises in that moment. It's always a self-belief. It's always a self-belief. So if our perception of someone feeling righteous about their beliefs feels uncomfortable, it's always pointing to that discomfort in our own mind, which is not separate. We're so feeling each other. It's not a separate thing. So it's kind of like it's kind of like the same thing, like perceiving why someone asked, why does it seem like people hate me? Perceiving people hate me, perceiving people who feel righteous about their beliefs. Here's the thing. There people feeling righteous about their beliefs can be observed without identification. That's where it comes in. It's just identification. That's where that uncomfortable feeling is. Because there's been identifying with a thought, there's been identifying with a belief, and then there's another part that says, oh, that's wrong, you're righteous about that. There's all kinds of weird stuff going on in the subconscious mind, all these conflicting kind of beliefs. And so they'll make up these stories, and with it a feeling. So and there's a story about someone feeling righteous about their beliefs, and that's kind of like producing a feeling. That's the same, just feeling that right there, because that feeling is subtle thought. It's a reflection. It's a really clear reflection of the subconscious mind without having to know exactly what those thoughts are. There's no need. I mean, when it arises for me where the thought is seen as the cause of it's like, oh, that thought totally snowballed. It almost arises just in an instant like that. There's not going looking for it. So and I can also say, just from my experiences, it doesn't also have to be known. It never has to be seen either. Just that sense of peace and calm, that surrender place where it just sort of calms down. That's it. That's it. And then that's so much, you could say, quote unquote, productivity or healing is happening in the mind like that. It's very powerful. So then it doesn't matter, like, if from a point of view where there's no self-belief and there's an experience of a person who feels righteous in their belief, it's not really anything. It doesn't mean anything. There's no trigger about it. There's no judgment about it. It doesn't really mean anything. Everything's just arising as a sensation. And there's no actual them like that. Not like that. What if I don't have any beliefs? Okay, I really stoked for this one. I really appreciate this one, because I've seen this one, because there's all these kinds of spiritual concepts that are being taken as true. And that's why I say, like, nothing that I say is to be taken as true. It's just like letting it land in the heart, that's all. Letting it kind of like land in the heart. But from taking these spiritual concepts as true, that, the problem is belief. So don't have any beliefs. Don't have any beliefs. So then there's a belief that I don't have any beliefs. And then that's like a really big cover up. I see that as a really big cover up. Here's the thing with belief. Belief can only happen in this instant. So in a way, that could be said. That could be said that I don't have any beliefs. Because beliefs are all arising in this instant, and I'm not really carrying anything with me. I'm not taking anything. But the beliefs that's believed in this instant shows up as an impression in the subconscious mind. That's all. That's all. We don't have any beliefs. We can't take anything with us. That's just from instant to instant, as a thought's arising in the mind, is it taken as true? That makes it a belief. That makes it a belief in that moment. And you can say the word impression, because beliefs are really more of an active thing. It's like more like believing. Let's put it that way. It's a believing instead of a belief. And then the impression is just kind of like basically telling the mind our beliefs. telling the subconscious mind our beliefs and to play out our beliefs, basically. Okay? So, what if I don't have any beliefs? Is basically coming to a conclusion that the believing will just happen unconsciously, and it's like believing is just happening on its own. And it's not happening on its own. The impressions in the mind, they are what they are in this instant. There's no changing the impressions. But the believing is all us. It's all on us. Okay? So I've heard it said, we're responsible for our perception. But we're not one bit guilty for it. Nobody's fault. In fact, if any fault is given, it's never given. It's always only made as something wrong, an impression of something wrong. It's just an impression. Those impressions just accumulate in the subconscious mind. But we have no accumulation of our own. We have no accumulation to call our own. So anything that arises as a thought can just be embraced. It's a thought and it's a feeling. Feeling, sensation, emotion, subtle thought. It's all subtle thought. That resistance to the feeling is saying, I don't want to see. That resistance to the feeling, that's our free will choice for I don't want to see. Okay? Anybody have any questions about anything? Please raise your hand. I've gone to the end of these questions, and I'm going to close out unless I see that someone would like to speak with me. If you'd like to type a question quickly, I'll see it. Oh, how to comment. Phoebe. Aloha, Phoebe. Would you like to speak with me? You could if you turn your microphone on.
Oh, is that it?
Yay, Phoebe.
Oh, okay.
Oh
Sorry, girl. I'm
goodness.
on my phone and I couldn't figure it out.
Oh, no worries. I'm stoked to hear your voice.
Hi. Okay, so last time you said the coolest thing. Okay, and I want you to type if you could talk more about it. You said, okay, what did you say? You said, we're relating to this illusion as consciousness, not as an individual.
Okay. Okay.
Did you hear that?
I did.
Okay. So that just totally blew my mind because I've been trying to, like, I guess, see the difference between the random thought and illusion and who I am.
Okay.
And now I guess that statement just, yeah.
Well, how so?
Because I'm the consciousness and I'm relating as the consciousness. The thoughts are totally the conditioned random, like they're not me.
Yeah, they're not you.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
It's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So you see how much freedom there is in that because those thoughts then can just keep floating. They can be embraced, they can be felt for what they are, and they can keep on floating.
Yeah, just float by,
Hmm.
and nothing happens. Just
And
it's
nothing's
you're
wrong.
yeah, yeah,
Nothing's wrong. You can totally feel the full effect. Please feel the full effect. That's the part. That's the thing. This is like a play, and if you want the full effect of the play, like when you're watching a movie, feel it. Feel the effects. That's it. And the cause will take care of itself.
yeah. So when you were telling Lori about choosing the illusion over the truth,
Yeah.
wow, it's like this is like a grid, like in Tron,
Uh huh.
and everything's just superimposed over it.
Yeah. Yeah. I never saw the movie Tron, but I get what you're saying, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a thank you.
Yeah, yeah. That's how it's coming to me too. Something similar like that. Yeah.
So I guess I was trying to find like a base or a place, and I guess it's just consciousness.
Yeah.
When you said, yeah, that's it. It's it.
So it's like now Lori's saying I don't get it with exclamation points and damn it. That's fun. So all right, so let's go like this way. Like okay, like consciousness is this um, energy that's making an illusion. Let's say that superimposed. Yes, superimposed. Yeah, that's great. It's like this energy that's making illusions sort of like superimposed like a cloud over the mind. And what
Yeah,
Phoebe's saying about this grid, it's like that's how I see like maybe souls, you know. And remember, this is not literal one freaking bit, okay? You're not going to go find
yeah,
this somewhere. So maybe you will, I don't know.
yeah.
But still, it wouldn't be real. Okay, so it's like there's all these unique aspects of the soul. Let's put it that way. Um, in this grid like that. It's one soul though, and unique
Right.
aspects with unique points of view, right? And there's this cloud of consciousness over this, like the eyeballs, like I put them before. Say those are eyeballs on the grid,
Right.
okay? So there's a cloud over the eyeballs, and and that's
Illusion.
consciousness. It's an unclear mind. It's a dirty mind. Let's say. It's for escaping the illusion of separation. Or you could say escaping to the illusion to separation, because there's some kind of a desire to be an individual. Everyone can sense that desire to be an individual, right? That's kind of like what do you say about that, Phoebe?
I think it's the sense of separation makes you feel like an individual, and the
Yeah.
thoughts.
Hmm. Yeah, she's saying, what's the cloud for? Like, what's the purpose of it? And you know what it feels like to me is it's to run away. It's to run. Look when the ego's at play. It's like it's running inside. It's like when there's this resistance, not when there's an emotion or a feeling or a sensation, which to me are all the same. Um, is there a problem? It's the running away from it. And you see
Yes.
the running, there's a running inside. There's a running toward thought. So that's all it is. It's sort of like metaphorically, it's sort of like it's a running toward thought to basically hide. I've heard it put one way. One of my really good friends was pointing out yesterday about how there's a book called Disappearance of the Universe, and he really felt on his heart to share this book, and it was saying how there was one guilty thought that the desire to be separate, the desire to be an individual, and that's, you know, and then, oh, you're guilty for that. Oh, now go over here. You know, metaphorically, I've heard it put like that, and that resonates for a lot of people as well. What do you say about that, Phoebe? Anything?
I feel like since I'm talking to myself, we are one, the one, that everyone is awake. It's like you said, we're just playing in the play, and you know, Lori comes out when she comes out, and I come out in my own unique way, and so do you, and it's
and you know what? Here's
this is,
the thing. It goes in and out too. Here's another thing. It goes in and out. It's like this too shall pass.
yes,
Just when we start thinking something's permanent.
yes, yes, yes.
That's a little bit of sucking in. That's a little bit of getting sucked in.
I think if any thought, if you entertain anything, you're in the illusion.
Yes, any thought. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought this mind and body just moves without my input. And again, I didn't know who my was, and now I realize it's just simply I am. I am that. It is consciousness.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Wow. Mahalo.
Yeah, thank you. So the rest is just play. Like when you were talking about the person who sees someone jealous or seeing someone righteous, that's all we're just seeing that. We're seeing what it looks like for someone to pretend to be righteous.
Yeah, and we're feeling what it feels like to resist it.
Exactly.
Or not.
Exactly.
We're either feeling what it feels like to resist it, or feeling what compassion feels like.
Yeah, you're right. I guess, again, whatever that point of view is, how they're perceiving it. Yeah. Yeah. But ultimately, like you said, it's not even there.
Right. Exactly. So, it's not even there. It's arising within. Yeah.
As soon as that recollection, it's like, okay, there's no attachment. It's not that I created that. It's just not there. It's like, oh, that's envy from over there, or that's hatred, and that's mine. Like you said, that's the mind. That's the mind.
That's why you can feel it. That's why you can feel it. Isn't that fun? So it's basically, it's kind of like you're relating through consciousness to a feeling.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun?
It is. And it is. And you do see yourself everywhere. You're like, holy shit, it's just me.
It's just me. So I say, Lori's talking to me on writing stuff down. Let's add her in, okay?
Good.
Yeah. Lori?
Yes?
Hooray!
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
No, hi, Phoebe. It's so good to hear you talking with her.
Isn't this fun?
You guys seem to be talking way over my head right now.
That's awesome, Lori.
Yeah, you always say that, but
well, here's the thing. It's like look at what says you guys seem to be talking over my head right now. That's in someone's awareness.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same as us being in your awareness. It's no different. You're just having that experience right now.
Right, completely. And it's pissing me off.
The part where it's pissing you off is the gift.
Is a
Yeah.
gift.
Yeah, that's the gift. That's where the gift is. You're pissed off, that's it. That's for you. That's the gift. That's where you say thank you. And you feel that feeling because you're right. Then you're not identified with someone who's pissed off.
Okay, so I say thank
You're
you.
actually
Or
just
do you
related.
have to ask or do you have to ask who's the one pissed off?
There's some that works for people too. I've heard that work. Who's pissed off?
Who's pissed off?
But yeah, it's
The
like
Lori.
it's
The
so fun.
Lori character.
Yeah, you could even I've even heard of I've even heard of just looking at it from a third party perspective. Like sometimes people even refer to themselves in the third person that way.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and like even when when a thought is arising, I'm feeling pissed off. Just to seeing that as Lori's feeling pissed off.
Yeah, Lori's pissed off. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Lori is because and it's like and then who is and here's another aspect of it who is feeling distraught about or whatever suffering over Lori not getting it. Lori
Yeah, no
feeling pissed
shit.
off. Yeah, or Lori feeling because who's Lori? Lori's not anything.
It's true. So who's really pissed off? Who?
The illusion, your consciousness, you you are light, you are it. You are it.
So
So
it pissed off.
any thought that arises about socks or being uncomfortable or being pissed off is not you. There's no reason to relate to it or accept it or take it as you. It's not you.
Right,
Maya.
but all, in the moment, all that banter back and forth inside the head, saying you're doing this to your granddaughter. You should be beyond this. Don't you
Oh
know
man,
that?
that's good. That's good stuff.
Don't you know? Look what you're doing to her. Why can't she wear her socks when? What's wrong with you? You wouldn't have done this a month ago when you got back from the retreat.
That's great. And then see this in every moment there's an unconscious choice there being made to go along with the thought because it's just not seeing it from the perspective of who's it really talking to. It's talking to this perceiver.
Right.
It's not you.
Right.
It's Hope. It's like I told Lori. For me, it's like the time that you were doing shit around your house, and you said, "Oh, I hate my life. I wish I was dead." And you were like, "Oh, where did that come from?" Remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, before you go check into some hospital because you hate your life and you wish you were dead.
These thoughts are not you.
Yeah,
You
No,
you don't go. You don't. They're not you.
I
yeah,
know that.
that's big.
Okay, so there's confusion that happens in the moment a lot
Okay,
lately.
okay,
There's it's just taken to be.
okay.
And then the shoulds come in and I know that's not me.
Yeah, so it's always right here. See, it's always right here. If the shoulds are coming in right here,
Yeah?
that's where that sensation is allowed to be felt. There, you don't never have to look back because it's always right here. So when it says I should have or something like that,
Yep.
that's right now. That's a feeling you can feel right now.
Yes.
Feel that right now. Feel it with me. I should have.
Or I
Let
shouldn't
that. Let
have.
that. I should have. Or what? Okay, sure.
I
I shouldn't
shouldn't
have.
have told her not to put her socks on the outside of her pants
Yeah.
that
So,
day.
so I'm sensing that in my body right now. Are
It
you?
feels awful.
Okay.
Yeah,
Embrace.
Becky.
Embrace that feeling because that feeling. It's see. It's like you don't want the thought, so you're pushing the feeling away. Let that feeling be embraced. Let that come. Let that come to fruition. It's kind of like this feeling. It's kind of like it's almost like a flower blooming. It's sort of like a beautiful thing, but we're pushing it. because we think we're an individual who can do something differently.
Right.
Yeah,
In,
and it's funny because I see this almost like a desire to kind of like fight against when I'm saying there's a choice in the moment. You
yeah, yeah,
know,
yeah.
almost
Yes.
like this desire to fight against that there's a choice in this moment.
Right.
It's like an unconscious going with thought saying I don't want to see. I'm not going to look there. See, because
But
there's a
I do
choice.
want to see.
It's like, are you okay? Okay, look. Here's the thing. In the moment it's arising, all there is to do is feel the feeling. That shows the subconscious mind that you want to see. That's basically giving the instruction to the subconscious mind to show you.
Okay, so in that
That's
moment,
the
all I have to
instruction.
do is shut up, stop talking to her, stop telling her what she should be doing, and just feel it.
You know what? That's how it worked in the case of like my experience. That's how it works. I really would literally hear a voice inside myself say, "Zip it and feel."
Oh, zip it.
And that's how things started becoming very clear.
Oh,
That's how cause and effect starts to really reveal itself.
okay.
Okay, I could say that. I don't. It's Phoebe.
Yeah.
What do you say about that? What's your experience?
Um, that there is no cause and effect. Everything is arising, and the moment I play to the separate self, I become lost in the Maya.
Yes,
For
and
me,
do you see that? Do you see that too in the moment that you play to the
The
separate
moment.
self? That
Moment.
is a cause. That is a cause of something that's going to manifest on the surface. Do you see that?
oh, oh, oh,
See what I'm saying about cause and effect? So it's like the moment I take myself to be an individual, that's the cause, or not. That moment, because that's every instant is giving instructions to consciousness. I got I got
Every
boys. How fun.
moment.
So when you say the cause, do you mean like if I go with it, then there's an effect?
Okay, here, let me give
Or
you an example. Let me give you an example, and I heard this yesterday on Wisdom Dialogues in person, and it was just gonna kind of like tell the kind of story that it was. There was just some perceptions, total misperception on both of these women's parts, okay, where it completely just manifested as a conflict, like just like an emotional conflict between each other. Kind
In
of
your
like came
thought?
to a head like that.
Ooh.
So so she was going, I was feeling like this, and I was feeling like this, and I was feeling like this, and I go, okay, do you see the cause and effect? And it's when I'm feeling like this, and I'm taking that thought about that feeling that basically describes that feeling. Like one of them is, um, I'm being, I don't even know what it was, but I'm going to throw this one out here. I'm being used because she was doing a bunch of stuff for this woman and she felt like she was being used. So when that thought and feeling arises, it says I'm being used, and the choice, whether unconscious, or otherwise, is made in that moment. This is every instant. We have new opportunity that I am in fact being used, and feeding that feeling of I am being used. That is the cause of the conflict that manifests later. That's what I'm saying. You hear what I'm saying? So
Oh.
no conflict between people manifests like that. There's no need for conflict between people ever. It doesn't even need to manifest
the
because
thought
it.
is the cause? The
What's that?
thought is the thought is the cause, or believing in the thought?
Yeah, because it's impressions, believing. Let's go back to believing. It's an action. It's an action word. It's kind of what's happening in every moment. It could be said, okay, it's not really an action, but if it can be called an action, it would be the number one action. It does everything. It's like it's either going with the story or being with what's real. What's really arising right now is a sensation.
Hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
And it comes down to now, Lori. It's not about what's gone before.
Right.
Everyone is awake. Like Phoebe said, everyone is awake. It's a choice. It's a choice not to be, and a choice is arising in the moment. And in the moment, there's a choice in consciousness. Let's put it that way. It's a choice in consciousness. It's either unconscious or not.
Mm.
If it's conscious, if it's conscious, it's a kind of like breaking that snowball. Like there can be this snowball in effect, and it's like any time during that train, it can just be seen that none of this stuff is true.
Mm.
But see, there's like these subtle little beliefs that go on, and it's like people don't see. They get blindsided by this. They're like, "Why did that blow up happen?" And it's like, well, cause and effect is at play here in a big way, just not in the way people think it is. It's
Hmm.
like there's a there's a there's an instant where a feeling arises that says, I'm being taken advantage of by that person, and there's either believing it or
Right.
seeing that what for what it is, and that's
Right.
where the choice is. And it,
Right.
and it's a choice that's also very physical. You can feel it in the body.
Hmm.
Whichever direction you go, you either feel more tension or you feel a great release.
Hmm. And also the willingness to let it go, everything takes care of itself. Like Lori's granddaughter ended up wearing boots and you couldn't even see her socks.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like giving it over to that higher power. That's where it is. It's in that instant because every instant is a new impression in the subconscious mind. But you know what the awesome thing is? We don't have to heal every single impression in the subconscious mind.
We
Yeah.
don't?
No,
No.
because it's
Isn't
not
that
like
what?
it's so instantaneous. It's
Yeah.
so instantaneous. It would think about it like if you had to do that, like for one thing, in the illusion of time, how much time that would take. You're
Yeah. And
definitely
there
not going to be free in this lifetime. That's what the ego would like you to believe. Oh, maybe next lifetime.
Okay, so that's what I was thinking. The wiser the person, the more they've gotten rid of the beliefs and they've gone through all the,
No,
you know.
the person can be a complete
way.
jackass. It doesn't matter.
Identification with
That's
the
the
person.
thing.
That's
That's
why
the thing.
I don't know. I keep thinking that, there's so much wisdom that I understand now, a lot, compared to the average person. And I talk to a lot of people, and
Yeah.
it seems to help them.
Yes, I know it. I know it's freaking awesome, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, but
Thank you, Lori. I see you. I see the things you say. I see how much your husband loves you, and I appreciate you. Thank you for doing that.
oh, well,
Yeah.
it's I there's been this pull go go out there and teach it, but there's this when I talk to you and I'm baffled like this, I think, what the frig makes me think I could teach anything?
Oh man, yeah. I've had that too. That's ridiculous.
That's right.
And you know what? That's huge. That because that's such a beautiful opportunity at the same time as being ridiculous and funny.
At
It's
the
such an amazing opportunity because
so what?
that is a sensation right now. That's a sensation right now that I'm not good enough. Right
Right,
now.
right. Yeah.
That is the opportunity. right now. You're not buying it. When you're in the sensation, you're not buying it. When you're embracing the sensation of it, you are not buying into the belief. And the other thing is, if you're going to teach, you're going to teach. And if you're not, you're not. And it doesn't make a shit.
Yeah.
It actually does not matter. Because, it's like consciousness is going to manifest basically the abundance of your heart. Okay?
Oh.
And it's like that's just what it is. It's like we put these chains on our hearts by
Yes.
believing the thought.
Yes.
So when there's belief in the thought, I'm not good enough to teach, it's like a chain upon your heart.
I feel that.
Consciousness can only manifest the abundance of your heart.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's all perfect.
And when you teach, you speak to yourself.
Not always. Always and only, and when it doesn't land on yourself.
What? When it doesn't land on myself?
Well, it's like when in my experience, I'm really talking about coming from my own experience.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes in teaching it doesn't land. Like they say it went over their head or something like that.
Oh, it doesn't land with the person.
Perceivably, they're going, that's just not, it doesn't resonate. Let's say it that way.
Yeah, okay.
It's always not resonating with a part of me. Just having that perception, and I just let that feeling of it not resonating be felt.
Huh. Okay.
It's like if whatever it is called forward is all for the same purpose. If there could be said to be a purpose, I've heard it put that God's will for you is ultimate happiness.
Okay.
So it's like you're supported in this.
Okay.
You're supported in this, embracing the sensation, no matter what the thought is. A thought that says you're not there enough to teach.
Right.
Who is that talking to? Who? It can't be talking to you.
Yeah.
But if you take it as it being about you, then that's an impression in the subconscious mind.
Right.
That's the belief. That's the choice. It's largely unconscious, that choice being made. See how you don't even see that choice being made? It's largely unconscious. And once there's consciousness that choice is being made, and you have an opportunity to choose again right now. It's just it's like, oh, who's it talking to? It's always in the instant though, because that ego with the guilt patterns, like saying this kind of stuff to us that makes us feel all guilty,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
Is let's say that those kind of thought patterns resonate closely with our energy bodies because they've been practiced so much.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so let's put it, good. So let's put it that way. So when you see, you really start to see and embrace that it is a sensation that's arising in the body. Oh, and Aaron says, how do you embrace the sensation but not buy into the belief? That's a great question, Aaron. That's awesome. I said before, I was quoting Jesus when I said you can't ride two horses.
Right.
One's buying into belief, one's embracing the sensation, really. It can't be done at the same time. Watch and you'll see. Don't believe me. Don't believe me. Watch. Watch that. You cannot be letting that feeling in And let's just put it this way. There can always be more relaxation. That's embracing. Embracing isn't a thing that's just done. It's an instant to instant choice. Opening, opening, surrendering, surrendering, opening, surrendering. Noticing the pushing, noticing, noticing, noticing. Letting the surrendering deepen, deepen, deepen. Noticing the little subtle pushes. It's all feeling. Thought is the subtlest form of feeling. See that? Or thought is the feeling is the subtlest form of thought, is what I mean to say. Okay?
A feeling is the subtlest form of thought. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so it's like the other forms are a building and shit like that.
What?
It's all a feeling.
Right.
It's all a feeling. It starts there. So it's like buying into belief takes attention in thought. It takes taking a direction in thought. There has to be buying into the belief over and over again.
Right.
Over and over again, every instant. That's why I say there's an opportunity to choose again, and then in this instant, and everything that was coming up is just embraced. Just embraced.
Okay.
It's already being embraced by you, Lori. That's
Right.
the thing.
It's already allowed. Yeah.
It's totally allowed. It's just that there's this little fear-based choice being made to go along with it.
Right.
And that's this instant only. This instant, not in the past. It's only right now that I can say I don't know enough. I shouldn't be teaching, or something to that effect. I'm not enlightened enough, and I shouldn't be teaching, something to that effect.
Yep.
As something that's speaking to me right now, or noticing that it's more like I'm relating with it through consciousness. I'm relating with it. That means I have the choice to either pretend like that's about me, or notice that it's almost like an offering. Here, take this. Here, chew this.
It's just a thought.
It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. You make it mean something by following more thoughts about it. If you're going to go into the mind, if you're going to follow into the mind, then you're going to add thoughts about it. If your attention is on feeling, and here's the thing. Here's another thing for Aaron or anyone else who wants to know. If we find ourselves, let me put it this way, when I'm going to say when we find ourselves buying into beliefs, it's still not a problem. Because the choice is now. Only
right
now.
Because it wasn't wrong.
Right. That's it. That's what I'm saying. It cannot be a wrong or a right in that effect. Yay.
Okay, I got it.
So it's like not buy into the belief. I'm reading Aaron's question. How do you embrace a sensation but not buy into the belief? See, since it's moment to moment like that, it doesn't matter what's gone before. And noticing that it doesn't matter what's gone before, there could always be a turning of attention toward feeling. That's all.
Right.
Yep.
Just because it's gone before does not mean it has to continue.
Yes, that's it. It stops. It could stop in this instant. It could be gone in this instant. It does not have to continue at all.
Beautiful.
Yeah. You're giving it the continuation right now. If you're giving it any continuation, if there is not a clear seeing right now, you are giving a thought continuation, and there's a thought that you are giving continuation right there. Showed itself. What a blessing!
Mm.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that see, it's like these thoughts come up and they trick you into thinking they're about you.
Yes,
Mhm.
Hide and
totally.
seek game. That's the hide and seek game. That's why you can laugh.
And
It's
it's
like
hook, line, and sinker too.
what?
It's hook, line, and sinker
Yeah,
lately,
for sure,
but
for sure.
not always.
And see, there's no lately and there's no always. There's just right now.
Yeah, right,
That's the
just
thing.
right now.
Yeah.
Right, right, right.
So see, it's like there's a setup in the mind for you to start uh deteriorating spiritually.
Yeah.
It's already look at astrology. It's already set up like that in the mind for you to go through these cycles and shit. But who's not going through cycles? Who is not going through any cycles or any changes? Who's the same all the time? That's you. You're the same all the
Right,
time.
who we really are does not change.
Yes. Yes. Does not change.
Hmm.
That's the thing.
Boy, oh boy.
And you're it right now,
Hmm. Yeah,
right
that's the
now.
big thing. It's like that's a big hidden thing. It's like there's always something to do, and just let it, uh, just be it right now. Or one way of saying it is feel it right now. That's how
Hmm.
it is from my point of view, anyways.
Zip
There
it
may be
and
different points of view. Phoebe, what do you got? What's
I
happening for
feel
you?
I do is and for me to get into it or whatever you want to call it, I started seeing that Tron, and then for me it was just space and then nothing, and it was just easy to go there.
Uh
And
huh.
nothing.
Yeah.
I see it the space,
Mhm.
and then all of this is in the mind.
Uh huh. Fabulous. Fabulous.
mm.
And you're right, you and I give everything all the meaning it has.
Uh huh. Yep. So would you say that being revealed is more of a mental or a feeling kind of thing for you?
Oh right, it's a feeling. So now I feel it. Now I feel it.
Yeah. Because it's just allowed. It's like the way it works the way it works in my experience is I could really sense resistance to feeling. When there's a resistance to feeling in me, it's really noticeable.
Mm.
And that's because there's been a lot of attention toward seeing that. It basically the desire to even see that,
Right,
you
that's
know.
where I'm at right now. I want to see it.
Sure.
It
So
was.
you want to see bad enough, then you're gonna be able
Mm.
to
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know how to put it, because it's not like it's like you're willing to drop that ego will of
Yes.
way of seeing. There's like this willingness to drop that way of seeing, and then the other way of seeing becomes, I guess, observable.
Mm.
Mm.
But that willingness is totally expressed by allowing the feeling in.
Right.
Mm.
That is an impression to the subconscious mind to show you. That's basically giving the command to show you.
Yeah. Zip it
Like,
and feel. That's
because
right.
you're saying I'm not afraid anymore.
Right. I'm not. It's like bring
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Bring it.
resistance to feeling, that's fear, and that's something that was really discovered through my third childbirth for me. This feeling was coming up of this uterus totally contracting. They had me call it birthing waves, and I did hypno babies where you hypnotize yourself so you feel no pain. So
Oh.
Mm.
so basically these birthing waves are coming, and I'm used to them being contractions, called contractions and all this other stuff, but I had been practicing focusing my attention on my uterus and stuff like that, and kind of like letting my uterus know that it can relax. And when when the when I noticed in my body while that birth process was happening, this strong sensation that wanted to stop feeling the uterus. It's almost like pushing it away. And so when I looked on that kind of like just like a reaction to push it away, when I saw it, when it was looked upon, it softened. I noticed it softened up, and then everything just felt soft, and I had to readdress it from moment to moment. The softening was just readdressed from moment to moment. And then once that happened, it was recognized that, oh my goodness, this applies to everything. Because
Oh,
all those feeling sensations, and you know what they taught in that hypnobabies thing too was that fear equals pain. Like they're the same thing. So it's like
Mm.
So it's like when I was able to soften that resistance to the uterus contracting, the fear was like absolved in those moments from moment to moment, and there would be no pain. I would start to feel it as a tension rising because I would feel it as that resistance, and like that's how um, I could feel everything in life basically.
Mhm.
that's cool.
Yeah. So it's kind of like when there's a heavy emotion coming on, it's sort of like the same thing. It's giving birth in my perception, I guess you'd say, in my
Yeah, and
experience.
when I feel it, it disappears,
Uh-huh.
and then
Exactly.
I sense
Yeah.
the space, and then I just go about whatever I'm doing.
Yes.
Like, oh
Yes.
yeah, that's not. Oh yeah,
Oh
that's what
yeah,
I'm not.
right. Oh yeah, that's it. Anything that feels uncomfortable, that's what I'm not.
Yeah.
That's what I'm not.
It's pretty simple.
Have fun. If you try feeling it, go ahead and feel it. You'll notice it disappears.
Right, right. And it doesn't take long.
No, it
No,
doesn't take long. It requires no process, no processing.
Amen.
Yeah. Yes. Yes,
And
I
we
do.
just automatically resist wanting to feel.
Yes, and see, we focus on what we're going to do and what we're going to say and how other people are going to react to us and stuff like that.
fear.
Instead of feeling ready, yeah, that's just fear. That's like me, giving birth and trying to direct how the baby's going to come out. Trying to resist this thing.
Right. It's automatic. I mean, it's universal. We don't we don't want to feel.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, that's it. That's the not wanting to see. Really,
And
that's
there's
how we
nothing to
feel
be
ourselves
afraid of.
blind. Yeah.
Feeling
There's
it
absolutely
actually feels good.
Yeah, there's so nothing to be afraid of. It's amazing because every single sensation can just be embraced. And then there's actually no such thing as fear in that moment. And in every instant, the power is there. Power is available.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's every instant.
Wow. I
Life
really want
takes
to
care
start
of it.
bringing.
What's that?
Go ahead, Dee.
I, life takes care of itself.
Hmm.
Does without my, if I don't resist and I don't. At first, I thought I had to follow the thoughts because if I didn't, I was gonna fuck shit up. Oh, sorry, don't
Yeah,
mean to use that word. And I, not following any of them, nothing goes wrong.
I
And
know.
it actually turns out better than the thought could have imagined.
Yes. On the surface, it turns out better. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
everything it takes care of itself. It's like,
It
whoa,
really
I
falls
didn't.
into place. Yes, it really falls into place so beautifully.
Okay.
We are so blessed. We are so blessed. I want everyone to know. And unless anyone has any more, I'm going to do my
Thank
closing statement, whatever that is.
you.
I
Thank you
love you
very
so
much.
much. Thank you so much,
Mm.
everyone for being on today. Thank you. I appreciate you so much.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Yes, I love you. Aloha. Until next week, Tuesday, December. No, we're in January now.
January, yeah.
Tuesday, January. What is that?
Third.
The second, third, third. We're going 1 hour later. I have some West Coast friends who need to get off work.
Okay,
And
it'll
come
be 9 o'clock East Coast.
9 o'clock East Coast. Yeah, it's going to be 1 hour later all the way around, and it's going to be like that on the GoToWebinar link that you have. So it's all going to be corrected on there.
Okay.
All right, I love you.
Love you.
Mahalo.
Bye.
Aloha.
Bye.
What, baby?